Hello, risk managers. Today, I'm going to talk about organizational risk management. Earlier, we have talked a lot about product safety and security risk management. And in the last video, I also talked about RAISE project management, where you can identify risks, assumptions, issues, and dependencies. But today, I want to tell you a little bit more about organizational risk management. And I will introduce the ISO 31000 risk management framework that will help you in the organizational risk management. Finally, I will show you how you can implement organizational risk management into Jira. I'll do that with a real-life example as well. But let's start from the beginning. What is ISO 31000? As the name already says, it is an international standard. It provides you with a framework for risk management. It does not provide you a rigid checklist. It doesn't also require you to do an external certification. It is just a framework that helps an organization of any size or industry to systematically manage their risks. But the most important part about that standard is not just the risk management. It expands risk management beyond avoiding threats. It includes identifying, managing, and leveraging opportunities that help achieve goals, the business objectives that you have. But let's look into this process that the standard sets out. It has a very structured process. In the first step, it is all about defining your strategic objectives. What are the most important things that matter for your business? Write them down, describe them with the key results the objectives have, the values, the success criteria of your business, and so forth. These objectives are the anchor against which all your risks and opportunities will be evaluated. You can't yet judge whether something is a risk opportunity until you have made the link of the negative risk or the opportunity with the objective. So again, what is a risk? Risks are negative things that could prevent the achievement of your business objectives, and opportunities are also called positive risks, are things that could enhance or help achieve your business objectives. In this second step, risk identification, you are going to identify your risks and opportunities and link them to the objectives. You are going to describe the events, conditions, and uncertainties that could either negatively impact your objectives, these would be the risks and threats, or positively impact your business goals, and these would be the opportunities, the positive risks. So this is what you do in the risk identification step. In the next step, you're going to evaluate them. After you have identified both the risk and opportunity, you are going to analyze them. You're going to rate them based on the likelihood and impact, and you are then going to evaluate them. A risk score, opportunity score is given based on the likelihood and impact that you have given to each. And you can then prioritize the risks and opportunities that are most important to either mitigate or enable to reach the goals. The fifth step would be the risk treatment. And in here, you decide and implement the actions that either mitigate the risks, the negative risks, or enable the positive opportunities for your business. This is quite straightforward. In terms of risk management, these steps are not that different from what we have seen with other risk management frameworks. But now the steps 6 and 7 are more difficult or complex, and they are also the least understood ones. At the same time, they are very powerful because they ensure that risk management doesn't stay just a simple static risk register, but becomes a living part of your organization. Step 6 is all about ensuring that the risk management framework itself stays effective, current, and relevant. It's the step about monitoring, reviewing, and improving your risks. So in here, you're doing two things. You are monitoring and reviewing your risks, but you're also improving the risk management process itself. On one side, you make sure that the risks don't stay static, that you are regularly reviewing them, that you are making sure that the risk treatment actions are effective, but at the same time, you're also improving the process itself. So the process really has to grow together with the organization, and it has to reflect whatever changes you want to make in there. You're collecting feedback about the process and review the process itself to make sure that the process is up to date and it is followed throughout the organization. And then the 7th step, integrating risk thinking into decision-making and governance. Here, this is all about embedding risk assessment into planning processes, be it project planning, be it business case planning, be it budget proposals. Everywhere you have to also ask about risks and opportunities, include the risk reviews, include the risk reporting in different meetings and different levels to make sure that the risks are not just the risk manager's responsibility, but that everybody is thinking about that, because ultimately the business opportunities will make your business grow. It is not just the risk manager who needs to nag people about having to go and assess and reassess risks. It is about the entire organization. And the most important thing, of course, is to integrate it to where your team is actually working. We're going to look into how you can implement 31,000 in Jira. But before that, a lot of companies, especially small ones, go, oh, this 31,000 is a framework for really large organizations rather than us. If you are a small organization, you probably have been in meetings where you informally discuss risks, but they are taking this form of, oh my God, what will happen to us if our lead developer leaves? Or what if this big deal that we are expecting won't close? These discussions are actually all about risks. But now what you need is a structured approach so that once your meeting ends, the ideas, the risks and opportunities that you have just talked about won't just vanish. It's common that no one takes ownership of this type of risks. No one actually tracks them. Nobody has put a timeline on them. And nobody, of course, has any follow-up actions. What that means is that you will keep on talking about those things in every meeting that you have. And when risks actually occur, they will surprise you, although you have talked about them a long time. So even in a small organization, a systematic approach to risk management would be beneficial. Of course, you don't need to blow it up into something unrealistic. It has to stay realistic. It has to stay with the business that you are doing. You just have to capture risks and opportunities that help or prevent achieving your business goals as they are. And that provides you clarity if you write them down. It allows you to prioritize the resources that you are always limited with, so that you put the resources where it matters most for the business. And doing that will allow you to avoid crises and avoid these repetitive, unpleasant surprises that sneak up on you. The most effective way to stay on top of the risks and opportunities that you have is integrate them into your everyday workflow and tools. And this is why next I will show you how you can implement everything into Jira based on a real-life example. So let's look into that. Let's say that we have a small Atlassian app vendor who is using ISO 31000 for their organizational risk management. It's a 20-person Atlassian marketplace app vendor in EU, building a developer productivity app. It's a small team, fully remote, growing very fast, moving from project-based firefighting to a more strategic approach, and it needs to gain customer trust, retain key talent, manage cash flow while scaling, and we want to see how they can set up their organizational risk management inside Jira with the help of SoftComply Risk Manager Plus app. SoftComply Risk Manager Plus app is one of the most advanced and configurable risk management apps on Jira Cloud today. It can do product safety and security risk management and other risk management approaches. Today, we're going to look at how you can use Risk Manager Plus for organizational risk management when you have installed the Risk Manager Plus app. The very first thing is to create two Jira issue types. You have one issue type for risks here, and you have the other for opportunities. This would allow for both of them to have their own workflow, have assigned owners who are responsible for those, but it also allows you to create a risk model or an opportunity model for particularly this issue type and visualize and manage these in the SoftComply Risk Manager Plus risk table view. So you have created two Jira issue types, the business opportunities and risks. Next step is to create a risk model and a risk table view for your opportunities and for your risks. So in here, we have the opportunities view. It's exactly the same matrix as for the risks, the 4x4 matrix, and it has impact on one axis and likelihood on the other. But when it comes to opportunities, it is sometimes difficult to understand what exactly are the impact levels and the likelihood levels. In terms of impact, we have to think of business opportunities that are those enabling factors that help us reach our business objectives in a way that what are the opportunities that have least impact on reaching the objective to the one that has the most transformational, game-changing impact. So this is how you can define or describe the impact levels. And in terms of the likelihood levels, those would be described then on how likely it is for you to achieve that opportunity. How much does it require in terms of resources, in terms of activities to occur? We have those levels from rare to almost certain. almost certain, for example, is an opportunity that is already emerging, something that has clear signals and that is very likely to occur. And based on the assessment of the opportunity with a high impact and high likelihood, this particular opportunity is in a high class, which means that you should prioritize this opportunity. So opportunities that are to the high risk opportunity score, they're the ones where you should push your resources, you should assign ownership, and you should start planning and implementing those enablement actions that would allow for this opportunity to arise to achieve the business goals that it is linked to. So this is the opportunity matrix. And for risks, it's a simple risk matrix. You have the same 4x4 matrix, and as always, impact, likelihood, axis, and negligible impact to critical impact, and improbable to probable in terms of likelihood. The higher the risk, the more important it is that you start planning and implementing mitigation actions so that this risk will not arise and negatively impact achieving the business goals. That was the second step, the risk models and opportunity models that you need to create. Inside SoftComply Risk Manager Plus app, you can create a workable, editable risk table view. And in here, you have an option to create two tabs. You have Organizational Risk tab and you have Opportunities tab. And in the Opportunities tab, then you have your description of the opportunity, the objective that is linked to. You have the evaluation columns, the impact and likelihood and opportunity score, and what are the enabling actions that you want to implement. And the same for risks. You have the risk area, the description of the risk, what department is this risk tied to, who is the risk owner, and what is the linked objective that it is threatening, and the assessment columns as well, the impact, likelihood, and the risk score. So this is the setup of the risk model and the risk tables. Next is to identify the risks and opportunities. The first thing you need to do is actually to identify objectives. In this case, we have this 20-person company, Atlassian app vendor, and their business objectives are the following. They want to reach 1 million ARR in the next 18 months. They want to expand into North America. They want to retain customers and reduce churn. They want to achieve 27,001 certificate and maintain almost 100% SLA. So we have those objectives, and now we start thinking about what would potentially be the situations or events that would negatively impact achievement of those objectives. Let's say we have the financial risk. This risk is tied to the objective of we want to reach 1 million ARR in the next 18 months. And now the description of the risk, what would happen that threatens achievement of that objective is that when our revenue drops because our app ranking is falling in the marketplace. The second one is tied to compliance. So let's say that 27,001 audit fails because we are missing the controls. And this one, of course, is tied to achieving of the 27,001 certificate. And it is a serious risk. We have to put mitigation actions in place. The next one is operational risk. We have AWS outage, and that causes customer churn. So obviously, we cannot maintain the 100% SLA. The human resource risk that we lose our lead developer, and that, of course, is tied to most of our organizational goals. This is the way we can identify risks that are then linked to the business objectives, the events that would potentially threaten achievement of our business objectives. The same way we describe our opportunities. For example, we want to integrate our app with Atlassian Isolated Cloud, and that will allow us to increase trust and expand to North America. We want to build direct partner sales channel because that will enable us to reach the 1 million ARR that we have as a business objective. We want to automate customer onboarding because that would help retain customers and reduce churn. We want to publicly showcase that we are on our journey to getting 27,001 certificate, and this will in turn help gain customer trust and support our sales. So these are the objectives that they are linked to. We have identified our risks, and we have identified our opportunities and linked them to our business objectives. The next step is to evaluate each of those opportunities and risks. For each opportunity, we have the impact and likelihood. And once we have picked those, their opportunity score is automatically assigned. And based on this score, we know which opportunities we have to work on, where we have to put the resources to enable these opportunities, or the risks that we need to mitigate so that this will not negatively impact the achievement of the organizational goals. In here, we see that financial risk, compliance risk, and human resource risks are really high. The next step, obviously, is to describe the risk treatment actions or the opportunity enabling actions. So risk treatment actions here are to diversify marketing channels, improve app reviews, build mailing lists, and so on and so forth. So every one of the high risk need to have mitigation actions in place. And the same with the opportunities. The higher the opportunity, the more we need to deal with that, the more resources we should put there. In terms of integrating with Atlassian Jira Cloud, we want to join the beta program. We want to align data residency roadmap. In terms of publicly showcasing our 27001 roadmap, we need to establish blog series that will talk about how we take steps to become compliant with 27001, how we have the asset-based risk register, for example, in place, and writing white papers around that. We have described the treatment or enabling actions. And the sixth step now is to make sure that the treatment actions are effective. In here, we can have the current impact and likelihood assessment. So let's say that we have joined the beta program and we have established the blog series for 27001. And in terms of risk management, we are doing a lot to mitigate the high risks as well. The step that we have to take now is to make sure that our risks and opportunities are reported properly. This is our risk dashboard. And in here, we can see that we still have 4 high scored risks we need to deal with. And in opportunity matrix, we see that we have 3 high opportunities that we need to make sure that we are enabling. And once we have enabled that, we can already see that our goals are being achieved. This is how you can do the risk and opportunities management using the 31,000 framework. And if you want to learn more about how you can implement all of that inside Jira, please schedule a call with us. We'd be happy to show you around the areas in which Jira would support you and areas in which SoftComply Risk Manager Plus can help you implement your organizational risks, your organizational objectives, and your business opportunities so that you always stay on top of them. You have ownership assigned to each one of them, that you can regularly review them, and that this all will help you stop firefighting, but really grow your business every day. Thank you so much for watching and good luck with your business risk and opportunities management. Thanks and bye-bye.